What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pierce Heart channel, and I want to challenge you that everyone has faith until it's time to use it. And faith, like an unused muscle, will eventually atrophy.
The kingdom of God, the set the tone, reveal His purpose. It's what we do, so we gotta act. 237, there's a whole book on it. The question you gotta answer is, what are you gonna do? It's what are you gonna do? It's what are you gonna do?
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pierce Heart channel. And before we get into the rest of the video, I want to encourage you guys to come out and join me tomorrow, Sunday, for church. You can join me at my home church, at Legacy Faith Church at 104 Roberts Valley Road, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, for a service, a live service, an in-person service. Worship starts at 10:30, live band, awesome music, powerful, warring, like-minded faith people coming together and showing God that they're unashamed to worship Him. And at 11, our pastor starts and brings a powerful word for this due season to change your life forever. So if you're in the Harrisburg area, come out and join me tomorrow. Again, 10:30, worship service starts. Doors open at 9:45. You can come in and fellowship, maybe hang out, come see me, say hi. You know, I'm not saying I'm great, but if I get you in the door, I'll take it. And if you're someone who needs a little bit more church, and you're like, man, Curtis, I wish I had a little bit more of that during the week. Well, Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, we start worship for our Tuesday night service. You can come in and worship for a good half hour, and then pastor brings the word from 7:30 to 8:30. And it's less preaching, more teaching, bringing principles and biblical ideologies to light and helping you to be taught and trained and equipped for the coming times. But if you're worried about 8:30 is kind of late, Curtis, pastor's good to get us out on time, get you guys home, get your kids in the bed so you guys get them to bed so they can crush another day at school, work, and get you in bed so you can crush it at work. So if you are in the area, I encourage you to come check us out. If you are not in the area or you have an excuse for whatever reason, you can check us out at YouTube, search Legacy Faith Church, and you can see our live services as well as any backlog, catalog, and teachings and messages we have on there as well. So with that being said, I want to get into today's word, today's message, today's video, whatever you want to call it, and I want to encourage you guys that faith is a muscle. It's not a wish. I talk about it all the time. Faith is not an emotion. It's not a feeling. It's something to be used, something to be purposefully built and empowered and equipped for you to use it in life. But I'm going to move into our verse of the video here, our main verse, the meat, if you will, before we get to the potatoes. And that's Hebrews 11:1. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It's not a definition of faith, guys. This is what faith is. This is the substance of faith. It's the epitome of what it means to be faithful, because Jesus is no longer here. He's no longer walking on the earth. He's no longer going down the pools and picking people up. He's no longer healing blind eyes. He has gone ahead to heaven to mediate for us in the courts of heaven before the Father. The Holy Spirit dwells in us so that we can now pick the people up from the pools. We can now heal the blind eyes. We can now speak to the demons and they flee before us. I just want to start this by saying that I, as a younger man, used to pray for faith for whatever reason, and it had nothing to do with the required faith. I would just pray for things. I would pray for a stronger faith, which has nothing to do with faith. It's like there's people that come up to prayer and they go, well, what do you want to do? I just want to pray that I'm the best servant, that I can be for God. Go away. Take that false humility and just kick rocks, because God showed me that your faith does not grow by false humility. It does not grow by your wants. It does not grow by your needs, because God's not moved by any of those things. God's moved by your faith. So your faith will not grow while you are comfortable, while you are trying to play it safe. Your faith grows through conflict. And we see this time and time again in so many places in the Bible. The whole book of Judges, you see faith growing through conflict. With the apostles, we see their faith grow through conflict with the church and with the Romans and with the ideologies and the religions and the governments of their day. And we continue to see faith grow despite the fact that they try and put it out. We see faith growing more and more as time goes on. We have younger people coming into faith in higher percentages than we've seen in decades. And it's fantastic to see, but faith is something that has to be worked, not watched. I cannot watch someone move in faith and then expect their faith to work in my life. I have to see someone. It's great to see people in faith. I love watching people on YouTube evangelize. I love watching my pastor tell his stories and tell about his experiences, but I need to have those experiences for myself. I need to be able to work those experiences myself so that my faith can increase. And we see this in James 2:17. See if I can find it. I couldn't find it last time. There it is, James 2:17. Nice, I found it. Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. And I said this in the beginning. Faith that is not used like an unused muscle will atrophy. I mean, God did not call us to sit still. God did not call us to get great faith and then sit on it. You know, you think about the guys and the talents. You know, the guy gave 1, 10, 1, 5, 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. No, 5, 3, 1, right? 5, 3, 1. I'll put it. I'll link it. He gave 5, 3, 1, and the guy who got 5 worked it, and he got double. The guy who worked 3 worked it, he got double. The guy who didn't work his 1, it was taken from him and given to the guy who worked the 10, worked the 5, and that guy was thrown out in the streets. You have to work your faith. God wants you to work your faith. If you, what's the point of having faith if you're not going to work it to the benefit of others? That's what the faith is for. The faith is not for the benefit of you. You are a benefit to others because you have walked out of darkness into marvelous light, and you have taken on the mantle of something greater so that you can be an example to what God can do in a life that is willing and submissive and obedient to his word. Isaiah 41:10 says something about fear and focus. Let's go check that out. I swear I have these dog-eared and I just can't find them even with dog-eared. So 41:10 says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Fear not, for I am with you. Faith replaces fear with focus. When you have faith, you latch on to something and you have to see it through. Anyone who's walking in real faith, you want to see it through. Nobody gets to a point where they've accepted God in their lives and then they're like, all right, I'm happy with that. If you have done that, I encourage you to get off your butts and start working your faith. Because when I finally found Jesus, and when I finally accepted him for who he was and for who he is in me, and when I received the Holy Spirit, I couldn't sit still. I'm a guy who doesn't like cleaning. And I literally walked into my church at the time. I looked at my pastor, I was like, what do you need me to do? I'll clean windows, I'll sweep the floors, I'll paint the walls. Like, I hate painting. For those of you who know me, I hate painting. First of all, I'm colorblind. Second of all, my depth perception is garbage, so I don't see when I have high spots and low spots. It's just a bad time for me. But I was willing to do this because I needed to do something in the church. I needed to work the kingdom. I needed a job. I wanted to see this thing through. Because I knew that faith, I knew that I didn't come to God and he didn't save me for me to just sit on my butt for the rest of my life and talk about how I'm once saved, always saved. Once saved, always saved is absolute garbage. If you believe in it, you are negligent or ignorant. I'll use that word. You are not once saved, always saved. That's what the devil wants you to think. The devil wants you to think that you're once saved, always saved, so that then you don't use your faith ever for any reason. You just kind of find God and then you sit back and you go, all right, I'm saved. And the devil goes, yes, you are. You are totally saved, sir, but I got you. Meanwhile, God's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I need you to do stuff. I got things for you to do. I talk about it in my last video where we have to pursue after spiritual potential. We can't just receive faith and then sit on it. Like, we have to continue moving and faith moves. What do I got down here? Faith moves before the outcome is visible. For those of you wondering why I'm looking down, I have notes on my laptop. Yes, I have notes. This stuff does not come off the dome. It takes weeks of study to do one video. So just keep that in mind, for the end of the video when I ask you to like, subscribe, and comment. So 2 Corinthians 5:7. See, I dog him and I still missed the daggum things. 5:7 says, "For we walk by faith and not by sight." I'll go into number 8. "We are confident, yes, well pleased rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord." Faith moves before the outcome becomes visible. I already said that. I don't know why I'm saying it again. But we have to understand that just because we don't see the finished work, we have to understand that we're moving towards the finished work. You know what I mean? Like the word says there's a lamp unto your feet, a light unto your path. You know that path leads to good, but you can't see everything that's going to happen along that path. You have to be ready. That's what faith is. Faith is about being ready to overcome, ready to deal with, ready to get rid of whatever's in your way, whatever's trying to dissuade you, whatever's trying to pull you from the path. That's what faith is for. Because when you see something tempting off the path, you go, "Oh man, that looks good. But no, wait, I'm on this path. I have a greater reward than anything I'm going to find from the left or the right." But you have to be able to understand that your faith needs to move. And you need to be able to work it. In order for the outcome to come into visibility, for you to see the finished work, you have to work. You don't get to the end of a math problem by staring at the problem. You get to the end of the math problem by taking what you know, applying it to the problem, solving it out for whatever it is, and finding whatever the answer is. X equals whatever the heck the X equals. That requires work. Work requires movement. And you cannot get to the end without moving towards the end. Go back to Hebrews here for a second. And Hebrews 11:6 says, "But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him." This should be a warning to all, that God only rewards his people. He doesn't reward everybody else. God only rewards those who come to him, who believe that he is what he says he is, who believes that he called them to do a thing. God does not reward the lazy. He doesn't reward the gluttonous. He doesn't reward the ones who stand still and don't do anything in their whole lives. God rewards the ones who are going to move, like back with the guys with the talents. He rewarded the 5 and the 3. He did not reward the one. And he took whatever the one had away from him. So he had nothing, which means he had less than nothing because God took everything. He was literally, they took everything he had. They took his position. They took his power. They took his authority, and they tossed him out with the rest of them, with the rest of the people who didn't want to do the work. Your faith will reveal your potential through your obedience. Matthew 17:20. Let's get to that. Am I in the right testament? Yeah, I'm in the right testament. Matthew 17:20 says, "So Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief, for surely I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. However, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting." Jesus here is speaking to a response to having cast the demon out of a young boy, and his disciples going, "Why couldn't we do that?" Because you weren't doing the right things to prepare for what needed to be done. And that brings us to another issue, is that people try and fast track their outcome, and you just can't do that. Without being taught the correct way of doing something, you'll never achieve the correct outcome that God has for that thing that you're trying to pursue. If you're trying to move in something without having the correct kind of faith, without having the correct kind of training, without having the correct kind of approach or preparedness, then you won't be able to achieve the finished work. Instead, you'll achieve maybe a partially finished work. Maybe you get stomped out like the brothers. You'll get stomped out by the brothers who tried to cast out the demon. You'll get stomped out, and you'll have to run away with fear and nakedness and shame. You have to be prepared and ready to do the work, to fulfill the thing that needs to be done, to exercise the faith that God called us to walk in, because the rewards are God rewards exercise trust, not empty talk. Jesus called it out so many times. Like why can't we do this? What do you say about this? What do you say about that? Jesus didn't deal with it. If you ever notice it, Jesus was no nonsense. He didn't deal with it. Like if something didn't, if you weren't willing to listen, he just turned around and walked away. And you know what he did? He found someone who would listen. God is no different. Jesus is God, so God is no different. If you think that Jesus is going to sit around and listen to your excuses, why you didn't pray, why you don't fast, why you don't read the Word, if you think he's going to sit around and listen to your excuses, you are wrong. That's not what he's here for. He's not here for those people. He's here for the faithful. He's here for those who want to be with him. He's here for those who want to be like him. If you're not trying to be like Jesus, Jesus is definitely not trying to be like you. Jesus wants those of like-minded faith in his fold. And though, it might hurt him, and it does. If you think that Jesus has an easy time punishing his people, if you think it's easy for God to punish his children, you are mistaken. Any father knows that they don't want to punish their kids. I've told my kids time and time again when I've had to punish them, I don't want to be this guy. You're turning me into this. You're making me be this way. You're making me react this way because you don't want to listen, because you want to talk back, because you want to have an attitude. It's not my fault, but I have to hold you accountable. God is going to hold you accountable. He's going to hold every single facet of your life accountable. When you make it to heaven, there's going to be a trial, and he's going to hold you accountable. And you got to hope and pray and fast and seek and be diligent in your faith so that when it comes time to be judged, Jesus takes the place for you. He doesn't just wipe the charges clean. He takes it all for you so that you get to dwell in eternity. Think about that. It's not that Jesus is like a lawyer who gets God to wipe the slate clean. No, it's Jesus who comes over in all of his glory while you're sitting there to be condemned in all your sin and all your sinful nature. And he sits there and he comes over and he goes, you know what? I got this. You get out of here. I'll take this one. And he's done that time and time again for the faithful. I want to challenge you this week to reflect on a situation. Just one. If you find multiple, where you could have acted in faith instead of waiting for a guarantee. What is one thing you could have done? What is one thing you could have pursued? One thing you could have taken charge in? And it doesn't got to be something big. It can be something as simple as, did you get up and pray? Did you take charge of your prayer life this week? Did you take charge of your fasting life? Did you take charge of your family life? What is one area where you could have done something more? Not because you're great, but because your faith calls you to do that. Because faith calls us to be heads and not tails. Because faith calls us to be diligent in all that we do according to his word. Because faith calls us to pray without ceasing. Because faith calls us to fast so that we might be ready and prepared on that day when he needs us. Reflect on that this week. Challenge yourself this week. Allow God to let you see where you could have moved, or if maybe it's the beginning of the week, let God challenge you to move in a space where you might find yourself thinking, I could do something about this. I could use my faith in this moment. Seek those times, seek those opportunities out, and just go for it. Go for the gusto, man. Just take the devil by the horns and jerk that son of a gun around and let him know that you are in control, that you serve a God that is greater than any other. And see how your faith not only gets you through, but increases and pulls you to a higher level to prepare you for whatever God has for you, the fullness of what God has for you. If you guys like this video, I encourage you. Like I said, it takes weeks to study out some of these videos. And these videos are only like 10, 20 minutes long. I encourage you to like and comment, subscribe. If you have a differing viewpoint, drop it down below. If you need prayer for something, drop a prayer down in the comments below. I want to build a community. I don't care about my name. I only care that you look at my goofy, bearded, bald-headed self and you go, you know what? That guy kind of looks like Jesus. That guy kind of talks like Jesus. That guy he kind of resembles Jesus in a way. Obviously, I'm not Jesus, but I want my words, my actions, my thoughts. I want everything I do to reflect God in such a way that it empowers others to go, I could be like that. I want to be like that. I want to be like God. I want to be like Jesus. I want to press on to a higher calling for my life. And if you're new here and you're not yet subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you have the ability to monetarily support me, you can check out my merchandise shop, tph-faith-shop.printify.me. I try and put a new design out every month. With the holidays coming up, I'm trying to put together something cool for the holidays. Something that's not super cheesy or ridiculous, but something fun. Something that pronounces our faith. Something that tells people that there's a greater thing in this coming season than big meals and gifts. So, yeah. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and I'll catch you at church tomorrow. Come see me. Peace out. God bless, and I love y'all.